Okay, the racetrack from hell. I want to start off with a quick introduction. Rainbow Road. You know this track. I know this track. Your dream girl probably knows this track. Your crush, your mother might even know this track. Fuck it, your dog, maybe the visual perception of the rainbow, maybe he or she remembers the track. Now, why do we all think of this track as such an iconic track? Well, because it's a fuck you.
No! Oh, that was a... Ah! Well, how do I fuck that up?
It's the most difficult track in Mario Kart. In fact, when you're having those Mario Kart parties, someone clicks Rainbow Road, we all look around like, oh shit. We don't know what's gonna happen. It's absolute pandemonium. There's no barriers. If you fall off space, if you go out into outer space, you're gonna come back, lose all the time. You're gonna be in 12th place. And frankly, you can't make a lot of mistakes here because everyone else is locked in. Everyone wants to win. So you fuck up once, and you can fuck up very easily, it's over. Now, what if I told you that this fictional track consisting of, a rainbow looped road in the middle of space, created by Nintendo with their crackhead imagination, isn't the scariest racetrack ever? What if I told you that a racetrack scarier than that is actually a real life racetrack? The Nürburgring, pal. Welcome to the Nürburgring. Have I been excited to ever talk about a track before? No, but this is not just any ordinary track. So today, at my own pleasure, at your pleasure, I'm going to be discussing the history of the Nürburgring. Who the fuck thought of this, right? Why is this invented? Why is the most demonic invention in race car track history a thing? And then, why the fuck, right? Why the fuck is it so scary? Why is this thing haunting every F1 driver's minds? And finally, I want to talk about this phenomenon that I thought about, and it's called the Nürburgring Effect. And the reason I want to talk about this is I believe that this track, mental strength-wise, has something that separates it from all other circuits. So I want to dive into those three, and then, the classic takeaways. So with that being said, okay, let's talk about the history of the Green Hell. That's a nickname for it. It was designed by, stay with me here, Eicher Architecturbüro. And he famously once said he wants to design a racetrack harder than the pronunciation of his name. He didn't actually say that. It's named after the Nürburgring Castle that is in the Eifel Mountains. That's where this track is also located. The guy who gave the go-ahead for this project, his name is Dr. Otto Kruse. And ultimately, 1927 was the debut of the track. Dr. Otto Kruse was found by the time the Nazis, remember, Germany's not a woohoo country back then, to divert the funds. Maybe it was for this project, but ultimately he killed himself. So he had like an Oppenheimer effect. He realized that he gave the go-ahead to one of the most the most demonic racetrack of all time. He's probably like, what the fuck have I done? And he committed suicide. Regardless, the Nürburgring is out, it's open, yay! And from day one, it was a toll road. And the current prices right now is 30 euros on a weekday and 35 euros on a weekend. And it's a public road, so you pay that much and you can drive along the Nürburgring. Obviously, there's some regulations. You can't go initial D on it. You can't pretend that you are an F1 driver because then you will be pretending you are Ayrton Senna. The consistency, the geography of Nürburgring is 13 miles long. It's fluctuated higher, lower, but right now it's 13 miles, 157 corners. This is a racetrack, remember that. 157 corners, and the highest and the lowest points are deferred by 1,000 feet. Now, it had a roller coaster. You're probably thinking, oh wow, what a cool thing the kids can do while the grown-ups go race, the grown-ups go drive their cars. No, this was actually, it was pretty stupid. It was actually not a safe roller coaster. And a little quick statistic, we're talking about the speed. The thing about the Ferrari roller coaster, I think it's in Dubai, it claims it can go 0 to 135 in 5 seconds, right? The glasses are coming off, it's bad. This project had a roller coaster that would reach 125 in 2.5 seconds. Okay, yeah, so it launched in 2009, right? And Michael Schumacher, this motherfucker is an adrenaline junkie. Holy shit. Michael Schumacher wrote it for some promo. And then all of a sudden, one night, the pressure valve of the systems, I think it was like a software malfunction, it blew up. The entire racetrack, like, had an explosion, had like a pulse, right? Everyone's going like, woo, woo. Okay, that's fucked. And basically, a lot of the Nürburgring like buildings, the studios around it, the glasses shattered. No one was hurt, like death-wise, but people were injured. That was stupid. They had hearing loss, like permanently, temporarily. It was fucking brutal. It was extremely loud. And so as a result, this roller coaster was shut down. Okay? And it didn't come back until 2014. In fact, it came October 31st. Spooky. And it launched for only 4 more days until people said, fuck this. So they wrapped this shit up. It was a total failure. In fact, I think some of the people went to jail because of how bad it went. It was a big investment. I think they lost around 300 million fucking euros total, the Nürburgring owners, and so they had to resign. They had to sell it to Capricorn. Next slide. Okay, so why is the Nürburgring Scawwwwy? You guys know the infamous story about Niki Lauda, one of the greatest F1 drivers of all time. Well, something that really made him iconic was actually his face. His face was melted off because of this fucking track. He famously said, before the race started, back when F1 was still having events at the Nürburgring, to cancel the event. There was heavy rain, there was a lot of fucking pandemonium, and he did not want to be a part of it. Regardless, the race went on, he lost control of his car, he crashed, and guess what? Fire. He was in a fire, burning, terrible things. Niki Lauda was not the only person who got injured. In fact, a lot of motherfuckers died. Sterling Moss famously said that this track is the ultimate test for any driver. I want to talk about the track layout. So it did, as I said earlier, have 157 corners. It has 13 miles. But hey, that's just a number, right? It doesn't mean that it's scary just because it's long. That's where you're wrong. The Nürburgring, the corners, the turns, the braking, it's the biggest fuck you of all time. I mean, you've got full 90-degree turns. You've got turns where you're going full on, blindsided, taking a right, knowing, okay, I have to turn at this time, and if I don't, I will be paralyzed from my neck down. It's got extremely uneven surfaces. It's got the famous carousel, which is like a bend. It's like out of a movie. It's like a bend, and the lower part is like really rough, and the higher part is smooth. So the bend just unsettles your car. And then it's another thing is it's unforgiving. What does that mean? There's no runoff, right? You know, a lot of tracks, they have like the plastic or the curb, the pavement where you can run off and life's good. Yeah, there's like a sand pit in like 3 areas. Other than that, you're hitting the wall. There's grass on each side of the road. So, you know, if you're a race car driver, if you're trying to maximize the speed of the circuit, you're trying to go to the closest as you can to the grass. But if you get on that grass, you will be sucked in like a black void, and you know what? You might even die. The average yearly death. Now, the average yearly deaths is estimated around 12 people a year currently. And if I'm wrong, I'm gonna have some sources down here anyways. That doesn't seem like a lot, but when you really think about it, it's a race car track, and a lot of these deaths don't include serious injuries, any injuries, and I think that's also a big part about it. There's a lot of crashes. You can go on YouTube, there's like 3 million videos about Nürburgring crash compilations. And it's mostly with stupid people, but there's also just some unlucky people who maybe do get a little excited and then don't realize, you know, the turn coming up isn't a 60-degree turn, it's a 90, and then they're fucking in the wall. On top of the deaths, the Nürburgring course will fine you fat if you crash, right? It'll crash, you'll be fined for the architecture that you damaged. But again, it's a public toll road, so they can do whatever the fuck they want. It's their creation, they open it to us, and we have to respect it. Alright, the glasses have come off. If you're new to this channel, it's pretty much saying that my gloves have come off. We're about to dive the fuck into the Nürburgring. Anyways, I want to talk about the Nürburgring Effect. Okay, I'm actually really excited to share with you what I think separates the Nürburgring from any other track. In fact, why it's scarier than Rainbow Road and any other fictional road. So, picture this. You're doing a time trial, right? You want to get gold. You want to get that sub 7-minute time. You get in your car. This is over a video game, by the way. Don't even think about real life yet, okay? You get in your car, your first few tries, you're going aggressive. You're like, let's fucking go, I'm hyped. And then after around 30 minutes, you find yourself in the middle of a race where, hey, I'm actually dropping a good time. You're halfway there, and you're like, let's stay aggressive, let's stay aggressive, let's stay aggressive. And then the inevitable happens. We're talking 157 corners, you touch some grass. And it's a little worse than that. You spin out and crash. All of a sudden, all that mental focus that you put into perfecting that course, you're probably 80 turns in, right? You're fucking locked in, 4 minutes, armpits sweating, heart's pounding. Mine is just Nürburgring. Nothing else matters. All goes down to a waste. It's a waste. It's done. And you tell yourself, oh, fuck. I gotta reset. God damn it, dude. Like, So another 35, 40 minutes go by, and you're in that same position. You balled out in the first half. The first 2.5, 3 minutes, you're like, holy shit, I hit every apex right. Except this time, when the time comes, when you're 55, 60% done, something in your mind tells you, I don't need to go this hard anymore. Let's take it down to 90%. Let's brake a little earlier. Let's turn a little slower. Let's kind of take it easy with the accelerator, with the pedal. You do the lap, and it wasn't the worst lap in the world. It was actually an okay lap. But you know there was so much more. You're not going to get that gold unless you get every corner right. And unlike any other racetrack, to do that, you have to be mentally ill. Simple. You have to be crazy. To get in a track, in a course like this, where one mistake will send you tumbling down, all those corners you hit perfectly, back to back to back to back to back, all for nothing, you need to know that once you're around 65, 70% done with the track, it isn't like, oh, I can breathe, I can rest. That's not the reality. You have to be fully focused for the entire fucking duration. And don't get me started on the straightaway. I've played racing games for 17, 18 years, and to this day, I don't know if I have a braking spot for the end of the straightaway. It's an iconic straightaway. Think about going through hell and then turning that right and then seeing heaven. But you're fooled. You're going down this heaven and you're going, oh, I finally made it. I can breathe. All I have to do is floor the pedal and not think about anything else. Right? Wrong. Here comes the do or die moment. I think, in my opinion, and I think professionals have really, really toned down on this and executed well, but for 95% of people, the braking here is subjective. It's all mental. It's all who wants it more. There's a 30, 40 second long straightaway, and at the end of it, you're seeing some windy gaps into the finish line. And you're thinking to yourself, when do I brake? When do I brake? And you think you did the right thing, and your opponent goes on for 2 more seconds and then brakes. Next thing you know, all that work you did was for nothing. So that's what's different with the Nürburgring and the Rainbow Road. It's so much more of a mental game where you don't even have to be just consistent and focused. You have to be crazy. You have to know that you're gonna have to sacrifice everything. You have to keep going. You can have the best, perfect first 5 minutes, right? Every corner perfect. You cannot let go of that 6th minute, dude. Like, I know your mind is gonna be throbbing with how much more pressure there is. You're locked in, you're like, oh my God, like I'm doing so good. Let me just have a good lap. Let me just take 2 corners easy. You can't do it with this one. With Rainbow Road, you can. With Cirque de la Sarthe, the Le Mans track, you can. With Spa, you can. Because these tracks are like 2 minutes long. The Le Mans one is a little longer, but it's a little more simple than this. And ultimately, that's the beauty of the Nürburgring. That's, for me, is why it feels more like a story. It's like a battle within your own mental to really get over that hurdle. And for me, I've done it a few times on Gran Turismo, but if you told me to consistently nail a lap on the Nürburgring, I'm not going to do it. I almost, to this point, have figured out what the entire course looks like in my head, but there's still blotches that just go gray. That's how insane this goddamn course is, and I really respect it for it. Holy shit, Gary Cake, this takeaway board actually looks kind of full. You're right, so let's talk about it. The bad guy. This is the one track no matter who you are, you step in for the first time, you know you're in danger. There's simply too many jumps, corners, different turns, brakings, angles, risks, hazards to ever nail this. There's always going to be a sector you forget about, and at that moment you're going to be like, oh fuck, here we go, lock in for this one. And ultimately it's always going to get the best of you. And it's going to be very rare for you to really ever have that lap where you're like, I did everything perfectly. No matter how good you are, there will always be a lap where, oh my fucking god, you're going to be like, if I did three of those corners better, maybe. But it just never gets to you. You're too afraid of crashing and losing it all, as am I. The people behind the Nürburgring are also crazy. I mean, it takes crazy to make crazy. The people, I mean, imagine being a politician embezzling money from the Nazis. That is no group of people I want to mess with. They're fucking insane. The roller coaster they had, I mean, thank God they didn't launch that when it did blow up. I bet there would have been deaths. It's 125 miles per hour in 2.5 seconds. Let's not talk about that anymore. And finally, I actually didn't talk about this at all. It's really fucking iconic, dude. Like, the hallmark of a good sports car, which is a little bit of a double-edged sword, is look what it did on the Nürburgring. Look how fast it went around it. I think that's a little bit more of a testament to the track than the car. This track is the most balanced track ever. I mean, it's still got straightaways for like 5-6 seconds where the top speed can be shown off. It's got slow corners where that acceleration really has to, deliver. And then it has those like fast turns where the handling, the stability needs to matter. And then finally that large straightaway at the end where top end really can shave off a lot of time if your car's fast. Unfortunately, and I think James May said this, the suspension, the comfort of cars, even any sports car, even like sports hatchbacks, they kind of fucking blow because everyone's so focused on altering it for the best times on Nürburgring. They don't actually focus about, little Timmy who got his first car and wants to drive to Walmart. Next his back's broken because it was designed for the Nürburgring Nordschleifer. Whew. With that being said, I gotta say something. Ever since I was a kid playing Project Gotham Racing 2, this track always haunted me. I never could do this track. I was a little bit of an idiot. I still am. But I couldn't process the turns at an age, like at 5. I was like, holy fuck. Like, do I really have to do this? Do I really have to beat everyone in this track? Let alone not die? So I do have to owe it the most respect that I have for being that one track out there where there's always that moment. No matter who you are, you never feel like you're fully in sync with the track, and it provides you this chaos that even Rainbow Road can't. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a track, not a car. Groundbreaking videos, guys. Oh my god. And of course you guys know this spoon's all fucked. So rip the spoon, but we're gonna actually do a surgery. It's scheduled very soon to bring it back to life. Okay? So with that being said, guard kid out, drive safely, and don't do the Nürburgring.